Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Solutions Studio here at the second World Summit for Social Development here in Doha, Qatar. We are so excited to continue the momentum for action towards inclusive social development, and we are going to highlight more solutions in this session on redefining progress, youth, work, and the future we build. My name is Ariel Alexevich. I'm a Sustainable Development Officer in the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. And I am joined by two excellent panelists here to showcase two initiatives. Next to me, we have Saptiha Priyatharsini Jivaraj, co-founder and director of EGAI, a youth organization based in Sri Lanka. And we also have Natalie Delorme, political affairs officer at Beyond Lab, who is here to talk about the Youth Moving Beyond GDP initiative. So I think, Saptiha, I'll start with you. Can you tell us about the EGAI Innovation Hub Cycle of Empowerment initiative?
Yeah, thank you for giving us this opportunity to feature our initiative, EGAI Innovation Hub, a cycle of empowerment. I'm very pleased to share with you our commitment that represents a vision and an inclusive model for a social development in Sri Lanka. EGAI is a youth development, youth-based organization that works to empower rural youth through education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So in Sri Lanka faces a paradox. Sri Lanka, a country rich in talent and creativity, yet limited in opportunity. Despite having the highest education levels, access to higher learning and meaningful work is very low. Many youths are completing their studies just to know that there are few pathways to access decent work. And because of this gap in education, opportunity, and skills, it creates a cycle of underemployment. Brightest minds of Sri Lanka are going abroad, searching for work, leaving the country, yet while the entrepreneurship and the research is undeveloped in our own country. And when it comes to underemployment, the rural population, they are having a big problem in this underemployment and in educational inequality sector. Because of this, it reinforces intergenerational poverty and hinders national progress towards inclusive development. So behind all these challenges, we can clearly see that our youths have potential to build a future, but they need an opportunity to create it at home. So these intersected challenges requires an integrated technology-enabled response. At EGAI Innovation Hub, we embodies that response. So EGAI's model is a cycle of empowerment where it is a circular, self-sustaining approach that connects learning to livelihood and local enterprises. So, through our platform, first we do give some trainings to youth and women, particularly from marginalized communities and rural communities in vocational, digital, technical, and entrepreneurial skills. Then, through our social enterprise, Find Me, we connect those youths with the clients who need their services and make them earn, whether it is carpentry work or digital work, everything. Then, the payment received from those works, 90% payment received from those works, directly going to the workers, and the 10%, rest 10% is reinvested into the new training program, which means every success story funds the next one. This is how we link education to employment, skills to sustainability, and innovation to inclusion. So building on this proven model, we are now committed to building Sri Lanka's first integrated, innovative, and incubation hub that will do more in near future. So this iHub will have a Children's STEAM Education Center, Youth Development and Training Complex, Research Pavilion, Innovation and Incubation Hub, at the same time, Community Engagement Center as well. So this will serve as a model for sustainable social innovation, because we are going to integrate renewable energy infrastructure, IoT-based smart systems, AI assisted learning kind of things. We are going to include all those things. So this commitment directly reflects the Doha Political Declaration and 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda by addressing poverty eradication, social inclusion, gender equality, digital transformation, and decent work, obviously. Uh, by 2030, we are committed to train over 50,000 youths, create 25,000 decent jobs, launch 1,500 micro enterprises, and incubate over 500 startups. So we're planning to replicate this model all over the country. By 2045, we'll be replicating this model all over the country by being a technical partner. So this is how our model will work. Thank you.
Saptiha, thank you for sharing that. It sounds like a great opportunity for all these young people in Sri Lanka. Love it. Maybe Natalie, can we turn to you? Can you please tell us about the Youth Moving Beyond GDP initiative?
Of course. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And it was such a pleasure to learn more about the work that you're doing. So the Youth Moving Beyond GDP initiative is there to imagine a world where progress is not measured by how fast our economies grow, but how well people and planet thrive today and tomorrow. For decades, beyond GDP, well, GDP has been the measure of how we look at our progress, our sustainable development. But it only tells part of the picture. It completely ignores the other vital dimensions of sustainable development, namely the social aspects as well as the environmental aspects. But it also completely ignores the long-term consequences of today's actions. So the Youth Moving Beyond GDP initiative is coming in exactly there. The intention is to say, if we embed intergenerational equity as a core principle of the Beyond GDP agenda, then we can make sure that it actually responds to people and planet for today and for tomorrow. And we do so by making sure we have meaningful youth participation as part of this process. So it all actually started back in November 2023 with a global youth essay competition where we've asked young people what should be the values that are guiding this starting Beyond GDP process here at the UN. And we received over 600 incredibly well-written and with such expertise from around the world, 600 essays guiding this work. And the UN has now established a proper process to move beyond GDP. It is part of the Pact for the Future, where there will be a high-level expert group that will come up with recommendations on how to move beyond GDP. So really building from this essay competition and see the expertise, the perspectives, the lived realities that actually young people bring to these conversations, we've launched also at the Summit of the Future this initiative called Youth Moving Beyond GDP. At the Financing for Development conference, then we actually launched its youth network on Beyond GDP, realizing there is a process that here we at the UN have an opportunity to influence. So this youth network has been consulted globally. It's over 1,000 young economic thinkers from over 90 countries, bringing exactly these perspectives, these expertise, these lived realities on how to move beyond GDP to make sure that this new measure of progress actually reflects the well-being of our people and of our planet. And very, very proud to say that actually the high-level expert group is here in Doha to present the very first interim report on these measures that go beyond GDP. And this event is actually co-organized with the Youth Moving Beyond GDP initiative because we have been through global surveys with consultation call in smaller working groups, we've been redefining the recommendations from this youth network, which obviously have fed into the process of the high-level expert group, which will be co-presented here today to make sure, again, that these measures of progress, to make sure we are able to measure what we value, because we know that what gets measured gets managed, gets invested in, and gets counted. So this is the objective of this initiative. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sounds great, Natalie. Thank you for that. I want to ask you both, how are your projects helping inclusive sustainable development? You know, Saptiha, you mentioned gender equality, SDG 5. You also mentioned reducing inequalities, SDG 10. How is your innovation hub helping with these goals?
All right. So when it comes to gender equality, we focus on having, from all the participants, 60% should be women. So we are focusing on having gender-sensitive scheduling and childcare facilities inside our innovation hub to make sure that women participation is ensured. And at the same time, when it comes to the inclusive development, we focus on rural and marginalized communities, and also we focus on indigenous groups, because we wanted to include everybody from every layer of the society to ensure equitable inclusion. So this is how we are maintaining the inclusion and gender equality.
Great, thank you so much for that. Natalie, how about you? How is your project Inclusive Sustainable Development?
Well, if you look at current economic discourse, let's face it, it's quite old. I think it's okay to say this, and it's also quite from the global north. It's a specific type of, I would say, academics and leading voices in that space still, unfortunately. So this inclusion really comes in of saying if we want to make sure that these metrics, because these metrics that ultimately decide how policies are being done, where investments are guided, even how, again, we measure progress on sustainable development, these need to be reflective, actually, of the people who, all the people who are most impacted and who actually are, who have the direct consequences of these policies, these investments of sustainable development. So the inclusion element is this focus on young people, on intergenerational equity, of saying we're not just the change makers of tomorrow, we are already today architects of this change. And also in many countries, young people make up majority of the population. So if you say we need these indicators to be, on the one hand, universally applicable, but also country-owned, if you want to make sure they resonate in country, ask the people in the country. And if you want to have honest opinion, ask the young people in this country.
Absolutely. Natalie, earlier you mentioned accountability. So I want to get back to that. And maybe I'll start with you, Natalie, to follow up on where do you see this project in 1 year from now? How will you report back to the delegates here?
Excellent question. Again, there are many different fantastic Beyond GDP initiatives happening around the world. But as we sit with the United Nations, we're thinking, what is our competitive advantage? What is something that we can bring? What is something we can open and push the doors open for? What is something we can democratize? So we've looked at this UN process, the process of the high-level expert group. So they are set to present their final recommendations at the UN General Assembly in September in a year. So this is actually the moment where all of us, and actually we can also hold the high-level expert group accountable to making sure that intergenerational equity was a core element of these new metrics of progress. And actually, even more importantly, following these recommendations, there will be an intergovernmental process where member states will then negotiate these new metrics go beyond GDP. So this is only part of the work. Yes, there is obviously this global policy making where we're working to make that link with grassroots knowledge, expertise, again, lived realities, but then it will also be the second step of making sure at national level, this type of engagement of intergenerational equity and perspectives are also fed into the national process as well. So long answer to say, 1 year we have an important milestone, but what also matters is what comes after this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And over to you, what's happening?
Yeah. So, currently we are already running the model of this model. Okay. So we are reaching youths every day. But through this model, we are expanding it. So we want to reach around 5,000 youths by the end of next year. And we want to construct our IHAB fully as well. So by the end of the next year, we'll be reaching 5,000 youths and our hub will be up and running. Yes. So that's what we see in the next year.
Great, thank you so much, Sabtiha. And let me ask you now, what partnerships and resources are you seeking from participants here at the summit?
All right. So since we are building our innovation hub, we'll need some resource persons, mentors, investors, partners to work with us. We just would not want it to happen intrinsically. We want to expand it nationally and globally. We just want to be a technical partner when we expand it nationally and globally. So we want everyone to join hands with us to implement this model in Sri Lanka and beyond.
Glad to hear it. And Natalie, what would you like to see from other delegates here?
Fantastic. Well, I'll start by thanking the partners of this initiative. This initiative is being done by the Beyond Lab, UN Trade and Development, and the student-led movement Rethinking Economics, supported by Germany and by Switzerland. And we are very pleased to announce that the Youth Moving Beyond GDP initiative was selected as one of the solutions of this World Social Summit. So we will be featured on the platform. And with that, we very much welcome and invite member states, all partners, to formally endorse the Youth Moving Beyond GDP initiative and to obviously then translate this into embedding intergenerational equity into measures of progress at your global, regional, or national level, because this is where it matters.
Perfect. And let me ask you, as our final question here, to challenge you in one sentence, what is your call to action for everyone gathered here in Doha? What should they take away from this conference?
I always believe that empowered people empower people. So we want everyone, not just invest in yourself, invest in others. Investing means not only money. Investing means investing your skills, investing your power, investing in knowledge. Knowledge sharing is the best thing that we can do everywhere. So we want people, every people to empower others, each other.
Perfect. Empowerment. I love it. Okay, Natalie?
I can only second that and perhaps add institutionalize youth engagement to make sure we protect, defend, and invest in these spaces.
Great. So, Septiha, Natalie, thank you so much for telling us about these great initiatives. We hope that you at home will also take a look at them. You can find information about these on the Summit website, and we will be back here in the Solutions Studio talking about more solutions later today and tomorrow. Thank you.